अच्छे दिन वाह।
Hello friends. Recently, one of India's top businessmen, Gautam Adani, has been announced as the second richest man in Asia. Recently, Ambani had beaten lone wolf Zhong Shanshan from China to hold the number one position, and now another Indian businessman has overtaken him to stand on the second position. If we look at the world rankings, Gautam Adani stands at the 40th rank. Now we have a question ahead of us. Should we be happy about this or sad? It wouldn't be shocking if groups of people start portraying Ambani and Adani as our country's pride. Is this something we should be proud about? How is it that when the whole nation is going through an economic crisis due to the surge of COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent nationwide lockdown, and even before that the nation had entered a period of economic recession, the wealth of Ambani and Adani has been continuously growing? No doubt, Ambani and Adani would have been the pride of our nation if it was so that they were growing rich because of their hard work. But that's not the case here. They are growing rich by making the nation poor. There is a direct relationship between the poverty of Indians and the richness of Ambani and Adani. Poverty is attached to India like Modi ji and Amit Shah ji are attached to each other. So in this video, let us try to analyze this growth of Ambani and Adani from a critical point of view. I am Nihal Mohammed and you're watching The Upfront. We see that there is Barbadi on one side and Abadi on another. As the saying goes, rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. Our nation is now a live example to this saying. Our GDP saw the least growth after independence the previous year. It's not that we made less development compared to the previous, but we went into a negative growth with a 7.3% fall in GDP in the whole year, and the GDP had shrunk by 24.38% in the first quarter of 2020-21. It is said that the same contraction will continue this year also. Reports suggest that around 23 crore Indians have been pushed into poverty due to COVID-19. I have already mentioned the impact of COVID-19 on our economy and the unemployment issues in the previous video. You can have a look at it. I have given the link below in the description. People who have money in their bank accounts are withdrawing their savings. People who have gold are taking loans due to lack of money. I need not give any statistics to prove this point. It is a daily experience to everyone around. The coronavirus pandemic has worsened existing income inequalities between Indians. India's super rich and its crores of man-skilled workers, many of whom are often unemployed for long periods and struggle to access basic health care and sanitation. A non-profit group, Oxfam, said in a report tabled at the World Economic Forum at Switzerland's Davos. The report, titled The Inequality Virus, said the wealth of the country's billionaires increased by an estimated 35% during the lockdown, while 84% of households suffered varying degrees of income loss, and 1.7 lakh people lost their jobs every hour in April 2020 alone. Now about Gautam Adani. The difference between the fortunes of the two Indians, Ambani and Adani, stands at a mere $8.7 billion. Of all the businessmen in India, Adani saw the biggest increase in wealth this year, which soared 88% to reach $32 billion. His total net worth grew by a whopping 4.5 lakh crore rupees only in 1 year. On one side, our GDP has been falling continuously even before COVID hit us. Our GDP growth rate was 8.3% in 2016-17 and it had come down to 4.2% in 2019-20. But at the same time, Ambani and Adani's wealth grew dramatically, especially in the previous 7 years of Modi rule. Gautam Adani's impressive rise as a business person has largely coincided with Modi's stewardship of the state. This close relationship was forged on a matrix of mutual interests, which also became a template of sorts for Modi's vision for economic development through an industry-led network of corporate government interactions, often called the Gujarat model. Over a period of 12 months from the time Modi was officially declared the Bharatiya Janata Party's prime ministerial candidate on 13 September 2013, the market price of the share of an important group company, Adani Enterprises, jumped from rupees 5 to rupees 786. Rupees 5 to rupees 786, or a whopping 265%. Over a decade, the Adani Group's turnover rose more 20-fold from rupees 3,741 crore in 2001-2002 to rupees 75,659 crore in 2013-14. This special Modi-Adani bond, chronologically charted, can be traced back to 2002, the year Gujarat witnessed gruesome communal riots and racial genocide. After certain business persons affiliated to the Apex Chamber of Commerce, the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, criticized Modi, a group of local businessmen led by Adani, yes, Gautam Adani, established a rival organization called the Resurgent Group of Gujarat, RGG, and threatened to leave the CII. More than his undoubtedly impressive record of corporate conquests, what has attracted considerable attention to Adani is his proximity to Prime Minister Modi. This is hardly surprising. A photograph that splashed across India's newspaper and websites on 22nd May 2014 speaks a proverbial story of 1,000 words. The photo depicted Modi leaving Ahmedabad, the biggest city in Gujarat, the state where he had been chief minister for nearly 12 years from October 2001 onwards, to travel to New Delhi to be sworn in as Prime Minister of India. His stretched hand waving presumably to an adultery home crowd, the colorful logo of the private aircraft he was about to enter was clearly visible in the picture. It said Adani. So it is very clear here that there is a direct relation between Adani's growth and Modi government's policies. Adani has been providing all kinds of financial and media help. In return, he is receiving all kinds of resources to loot Indians. One side we see Abadi, on another we see Barbadi. I would like to bring some examples to your notice. Adani has around 6 companies. In the past 1 year, Adani Transmission shares have gone up by 669%, Adani Total Gas shares have risen by 349%, Adani Enterprises shares have soared 972%, and Adani Green has gained 254%. Adani Ports and Adani Power have advanced 147% and 295% respectively in this period. In 2013, Adani had only 44 projects in 10 cities. But in 2019, he has around 92 projects in 260 cities. But that's not all. He was given projects which he had no competence to handle. Today, Adani holds 1 out of 3 airports in India and has control over 25% of India's air traffic. When privatization of airports was suggested, it was said that only who have prior experience in handling airports will be given these projects. But contrary to this, Adani, who had no prior experience, today controls 7 airports in India, which makes it the biggest private operator in this space. Many rules were changed and made easier. Who made profit? Adani. And the people of India suffered yet again because the airports were built and developed on taxpayers' money, built in our money but profit to them. Not only this, in the last 8 to 9 years, the major profit-making sphere of Adani was power. Power distribution, power transmission and power generation. In this, in order to develop infrastructure, he took large amounts of loans from banks, around 15,000 crore rupees. But later, when he could not repay it and the situation came to where his properties could be seized, Narendra Modi became the PM and the remaining amount was restructured for 25 to 30 years. In 2006-07, the group had revenues of rupees 16,953 crore and debt of rupees 4,353 crore. By 2012-13, revenue stood at rupees 47,352 crores and debt, according to a recent Credit Suisse report, at rupees 81,122 crore. The company puts the debt figure at rupees 61,762 crore. This extraordinary growth has given rise to persistent charges that the state has favored his group. The National Auditor flagged two instances where the Gujarat government extended undue benefits to the Adani Group. First, between 2006 and 2009, Gujarat State Petroleum Corporation bought natural gas from the open market and sold it to Adani Energy at a price lower than the purchase price. The Controller and Auditor General CAG says the company received an undue benefit of rupees 70.5 crore. These are only some of the examples. I have given the link below in description. You can have a look at more of such kinds of examples. The 2003 Act governs the power sector structure and policy. It recommends the generation, distribution, transmission, trading and use of electricity. Further, it also sets rules and regulations for the regulatory authorities in the state and central departments of the power sector. The first few amendments introduced to the Act were in 2014. Under this Act, in order to avoid the losses incurred by the distribution companies, the government has to compulsorily pay the agreement they have made with these companies. We see that in both power generation and distribution, Adani is growing rapidly and is already well settled. Already they have control over Mumbai electricity and the electricity bills went above 50% of the earlier amount. In Rajasthan, they generated electricity and when they sold it to the government for the rate 2 to 3 times higher, and when the government didn't return this money they had agreed upon, they went to the Supreme Court and there Justice Arun Mishra, who is famous for his comments praising Prime Minister Narendra Modi and has been also criticized for the same, ruled in favor of Adani. In this way, they were in profit even before the Electricity Act came, but this new Electricity Act will make it easier for Adani to make profits. So totally, Adani has been controlling most of India's business spheres recently. As said earlier, airports, ports, railways, roads, everything is under their control today. This has happened only in the last 7 years. Brahmastra played by Modi ji from time to time has made all this possible. They have been constantly buying private companies at a loss and also state-owned spheres. Wherever privatization is introduced, let it be gas, production, coal, mine, everywhere they have been making large-scale buys. In the last 1 year, Adani has bought around 5 lakh crore worth property of this nation and has increased his wealth. For the same reason, he is the second richest man today in Asia. Where did he get so much money from? When we analyze, we see that the amount of properties bought is very less compared to the profit he has made in the previous 4 to 5 years. I am not asking this question. BJP MP Subramanian Swamy raised this question and tweeted, "Trapeze artist Adani now owes rupees 4.5 lakh crores as NPA to banks. Correct me if I am wrong. Yet his wealth is doubling every 2 years since 2016. Why can't he repay the banks? Maybe with the 6 airports he has bought, he might soon buy out all the banks he owes money. If he is such a rich man, second richest man in Asia, then why is he not repaying the deposit money of the poor in the banks? Why is he not repaying his loans? When with our money, taxpayers' money, money which belongs to the citizens of India, he increases his net worth, shareholders across the world buy shares, and this is the reason that he has made the highest money this year from his shares, more than any other businessman in Asia. May that be Ambani or Tata or any other businessman. Now if you ask why investors are investing with so much surety, then the answer is that Motabhai, that is the Indian government, is behind him and that is the guarantee. One side Adani has been growing with the help of the Modi government and on the other side the poor get nothing. We are a rich and prosperous country but taxpayers get nothing. We are today a nation with more than 100 billionaires. At the same time, more than 80% of people live below poverty line today due to COVID-19. Why inequality is rising so much? Reports have also alleged that in order to make profits, Adani has now paid $30 million to Myanmar military-controlled firm for the port deal, a military which has been called dictator by the whole world. To summarize, all I have to say is that this growth of Ambani and Adani is the fruit of large roots of economic inequality and fascist political ideologies. This is not something we should be proud of because this wealth is made by taking it away from people and giving it to some. in that also to those whom you like and those who favor you. This is known as crony capitalism. Crony capitalism is an indicator of the state of the economy where success in business is determined by the mutual relationship between businessmen and government officials. In one place, farmers have an income less than 5,000 every month, and these crony capitalists earn 90 crores every hour a day. The Modi government has now completed 7 years. If you ask who is in profit and who is in loss, all we can say is that the small scale businessmen, farmers, auto drivers, factory workers, even medium scale businesses have incurred losses. The whole nation is in Barbadi today, and only these few, very few people are in Abadi. If you ask for whom this government has worked, then it is Adani Bachao, Adani Badao, Ambani Bachao, Ambani Badao. Modi ke saath Ambani Adani ki Abadi. This is the report card, marks card of the Modi government in the previous 7 years. This shouldn't go forward this way. Real patriots need to question this growth of Ambani and Adani. Ambani being the richest in Asia and Adani second richest is the new economic virus in India, and this is what you call crony capitalism. If you like the content we provide, please subscribe to the Upfront and press the bell icon to get notification of all our recent updates. Please share our videos and educate others. Thank you.